repertoire. And today, I want to do something with the lathe. I had sort of a request, yeah. But I want to try and make something out of that. You wonder what that is? That's a bit of walnut. You know, what your nuts grow on. Not those nuts, no. Walnuts. You might have some at Christmas. Like you might. Anyway, we're going to turn that. We're spinning it around really, really fast on that. And that's my lathe. It's not a Shapak lathe, it is. I've had it years. And it works still. Just like me. Just about. But before I do that, I just want to sort of semi-finish off a project we were doing before. And if you remember yesterday, we put our little reinforcements in the corners of this frame. So that's one thing we've done. But what's one thing we've done? That's one thing we've got to finish, or semi-finish. I'll pretty much get there. I'll get so we get some lacquer on it basically, and put it to one side, and then I can install the picture later. But then we're going to be doing this. We're going to be spinning this round really, really fast. Yeah, and making it into something. Right. Well, I had a request from Jasper, who's a regular here, and he said, "Why don't you do a tea light?" So I thought, "Oh, bugger it, I'll do a tea light." So we're going to turn a tea light at this lovely old piece of walnut. I don't know if you can see the grain. Don't suppose you can really see it very well. You'll see it, don't you? You will do later. But can you see the grain in that? It's actually a beautiful piece of timber. A piece of French walnut. I know it's French walnut because it was felled here in France. Yeah. Oh, I hope the sound is okay. Let's just double check. Sound check. A Rubik's Cube or dice. You could do it. Hello, Jasper. Now, I'm going to just do it into a bit of a flattened sphere because I'm going to do it round on the lathe. You could just, to be honest, it's such a lovely piece of wood, you could finish each face, clean up the corners and what have you, and put your little what's in the end there to take your tea light in that. And it, fit some sort of finish on it, and it would be absolutely lovely. But I want to use the lathe because it's dangerous. No, not really. It can be, but it's not today. It better not be. No. So, I hope everybody can hear. Hello, Jasper. Can you hear me okay, mate? I've got that microphone's on there, and that one says it's on. But I can't always tell. I'll tell you what, I will do a Rubik's Cube one, but I won't do it with that. What I'd probably do with a Rubik's Cube one, I'd actually laminate loads of pieces of wood together. So you get all the, you can get different colours. Let's say, for instance, it was cherry, walnut and oak, for instance. And then laminate together to get your colours. Yeah, it might be the same colour on each side, or we could try and confuse people. Am I coming over loud and clear? I hope so. Right, anyway, let's get to it. So first of all, let's just sort this thing out over here. It won't take me long. And then we'll get onto that old lathe. And see if we can do something with that. Well, that's that frame that we started putting together, or we sort of put together. And I put those little reinforcements in the corners using my jig on the saw, on the table saw. But obviously we don't want these lugs sticking out here. That looks silly, doesn't it? So we've got to get rid of those. And all I'm going to use for that is a little Japanese pull saw. And this is one from Lidl's or something. It's absolutely rubbish, but it's right for this sort of job. But it's not like a proper Japanese pull saw at all. So what we're going to do, first of all, we're just going to whip them off, surf flush. And I don't really want to take too much black. I don't want to remove any of this black material here. So let's just have a check. It's a gold sieve. What gold sieve? What that? That's what's what? Okay, so let's just whip them off gently. Like I say, I don't want to remove any black paint. If I do, I can easily touch up because I just want these to be accents. I don't mind a little bit of wear on it because it's kind of look we're going for anyway. Hence, I've sanded back some of these corners, ready for the lacquer. I could actually do this on the radio alarm saw. Get really close with that. So just a little bit proud at the moment. But we'll finish it off with a low angle block plane, which is that one there. I just want to try and get close, but not so close. I end up scratching the black paint. So it's end up like whites, marks where I've gone through to the wood. And if you look here, you can see I'm actually using my finger here as a guide to keep it flat against the side of the actual picture frame. Yeah, these liddles, the Park side. I think there was something silly. I bought there was 2 of them at $5 or something, so they were really cheap. But they're not as good as my old Japanese pull saws I used to have. Which need replacing because they're blunt. That's the only thing with these saws, you can't sharpen them. You can spend an awful lot of money on a Japanese pull saw and you can't sharpen the blooming thing. Which would be rather annoying. So these little saws, they're good for that, but as soon as you start to try and do anything thicker, so over, say 10mm thickness, they grab the blade. So not very good quality, because the set isn't correct. So there we go. Oh, and we've got 2 more left. So it's quite good fun on the old lathe. I haven't actually used it for. Oh, I have used it this year. It was in the summer I used it, and that's to make 12 platters for a customer. And these are like big flat walnut plates, so they could put another plate in the middle of it. It was never going to get wet or anything. It was just, yeah, it's like a glorified placemat, I suppose. But they were gorgeous, I have to admit. All in walnut. What they wanted. Silly idea myself, but there you go. So now I'm going to put it in the vise. Using this so I don't mark it. This is just a bit of that non-slip matting you can get for these cheapy places. But I'll tell you what is worth having, a piece of old carpet or a bit of rubber matting or something when you're doing your routing. So the actual, yeah, if you're using a hand route or something like that, you don't actually have to clamp it down. Just don't move about. It's really quite handy. So I'm going to be very ginger. Well, not ginger. That'd be Graham Hill's. So very carefully, I'm just going to plane these. At the moment, I've got to see what way the grain's going as well, because obviously it's going to grab. It's going the wrong way. Well, I'm going the wrong way, I say. You want to go with the grain, if it makes any sense. As in, if the grain's going up an angle like that, you want to be planing in that direction. You don't want to be planing that way, otherwise the blade will jab the end grain. Let's close that down a bit. So this particular little block plane is a low angle block plane, hence the blade is at a very low angle. I'll explain it another time actually, but a low angle block plane isn't actually that much lower than a standard hand plane because of the way the blade is orientated. So it's a bit of a fallacy really. Just close the mouth down a little bit. Trying to do it without taking any of the black away, which that was fine. Let's just end here. On there. Move it. Let's do the other side. So nice when we use these mats like this, it allows the device to grip your piece, especially if it's a light piece like this, you're not trying to crank it down tight or anything. It's enough just to grip it and hold it in place while you do your work, so you don't have to squeeze your project too much. Took a bit of the back off there, but that's actually not too bad, that's right. No, but I don't mind that. A little bit I don't mind. I just don't want big chunks out of it. So I'm going for this sort of like relief to show a bit of the wood behind the black. Anyway. This will be lacquered up. So it's a bit of a... Oh, it's pouring down rain outside. Oh my god. 2 more sides. And then it's just a case of get a little bit of sanding. This week I'll be a little bit more careful because there's more sticking out. What you don't want to do is crank your joints. Damage your joints, do you? Because that'd be silly. You break it. God, it's pouring down outside. I don't know what the weather's like in the UK at the moment. But it's been very wet here and windy. We were a bit concerned last night because I caught it a bit there, but don't matter. I'm not that worried, as you can probably tell. Yeah, last night we were a bit concerned because it was pouring down, and where we live, because we live literally on a hill, and we're at the bottom of the hill regarding the road that comes to our property. All the water runs down our driveway. I had to get in there with the old digger and change the levels about, and it had seemed to have done the trick. Because not this year, but last year we had a... What was the year before? The last year we had a bit of a major issue with the rain coming in our front door. I mean, it was like a torrent. And this had actually had before. A month after buying our house in France, it was me and Darren, or Dizzy, as we nicknamed him. He's a bit dizzy. And we were sitting, before we were doing the renovation, we'd just been there a few weeks. And the son was sitting there and I was sitting there, and all of a sudden this water started pouring in the front door like a river coming in the front door. What's going on here? They go through the front door, through the kitchen, and out, and just sort of disappeared. There's a cellar underneath what I call my office, because that's what it is, and that was flooded to the top. You know, it was yeah. We thought, oh my god, what on earth have I bought here? Now that time I went around with another digger, like a old crab, it's like crack, I know what it's called now. It didn't have tracks or anything. You had to kind of manoeuvre it on the bucket, sort of pull yourself about, sort of like a drag, sort of drag yourself about. It did the job though. We bought it off a friend, and someone we met in the local DIY, as you do here. Some very fine sandpaper, and bits and pieces I'm not happy with. I'm gonna get rid of. Right there. I don't mind a little bit of relief. I don't want to do too much. When I say relief, what I mean is removing a bit of the black paint to expose a little bit of the wood behind. That's all right, that's good. Do too much, you're kind of like missing the point of doing it in the first place. It's supposed to just show a bit of wear. It's kind of the idea behind it. So I'm hoping to get this sort of finished off, and then we can then get on that lathe and start spinning a bit of wood. See what happens. First of all, what I do, I mark it, or with a compass, mark the round, because obviously it's going to be round because it'll be spinning around. And then I then go to the bandsaw and take the worst of the material off, because if you do that, you then have a lot less. You don't have corners you're going to jab into. You can just take 45s off on each corner. What I mean by that is that's just spinning round. I don't want to be hitting that with a chisel, I don't want to be hitting that with a chisel. So what you do is you cut it into a round to start with. And I can do that on the bandsaw. Or you can just take about a 45 off there, and a 45 off there, and a 45 off there, and there. And then it isn't quite so bad. Because what happens is if you grab it there, you'll be putting extra force on where it's going to attach to the lathe. It isn't such a good idea, no. So let's have that. Use a spoke shave, you could use a spoke shave. La, 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 la. There we go, let's back to it. So it's going to finish this off, and then we're going to be going on to the lathe. A bit of sand in here. You can see the little slips in there, but once I lacquer it up, they'll sort of become almost like little bits of interest. You can paint it over black again if you want to, it's up to you. Whatever you fancy. Whatever you fancy, don't matter. I kind of like that kind of like relief though. I've done it on some other frames, but probably to more success than this one, mind, because I used oak. And because the material's a lot harder, you can do a better job. This is just old offcuts from the shutter material that I, use, to make window shutters in France. Those bright colourful things I use to shut the windows. with close the windows off. Yeah, I'm happy with that. There. And what that does is, because that's glued in there across the corner like that, and that's glued in there across the corner like that, the joint is less likely to come apart. So if you get any expansion, contraction in its lifetime, sitting on a wall with a summer heat and what have you here in France, and you're going to have less issues. Let's say that. I hope I didn't shout into my microphone just then, because that would have been really annoying for you. Make sure then I'm going to get airline on it, and then it's going to whack a little bit of lacquer onto that. That's right, that's good. Very fine paper. This is 1200 paper, this one. This is very fine. It clogged up, you know, it's wet and dry paper, it's like silicon carbide. So normally you'd use it with water, but I don't want to make the thing wet. Yeah, you rub down your car body, get the old orange peel out of your paintwork on your car after you sprayed it. Just makes it really, really, really smooth. Right, so that's that. Let's go and stick some lacquer on that. So I'm going to get my Lazy Susan. What I made. Why buy it when you can make it, eh? All it is two discs of chipboard. There's a piece of copper pipe in the middle that creates the bearing. I put these little nodules on. You know, one's broken off there, so I need to. It's on the floor somewhere. It happened the other day. So I'm just going to lacquer that. And then that will have, I could lacquer this, well, actually put it in, I could actually put it in and lacquer that as well, but I think I'll do that separately. There's little pimples on it, little marks on there, so I don't want them to get any worse. So it's going to go in there like that. That's man cave stuff, that's what that is. It can be lady cave. Any sort of cave if you like. Right, let's get some lacquer. God, and Bennett, the weather. Everything's getting wet. Blimey. Get the shaken back, put the freshness back. You remember that stuff? You still get shaken back. You know that powder stuff you put on your carpets and then you have to vac it off. Apparently it makes all your carpets smell all fresh after your dog's peed on them. There you go. Hopefully on that, that's good. So I'm going to do the middle inside first because it's always the hardest bit to get full coverage. So I start in the corners on the insides. Oh, it smells. Actually, by the time I've actually, you know, finished this over here, you know, this tea-like thing I'm going to make on the lathe, this will all be dry. So you might be able to finish this completely. Maybe. So I started off on the internal corners because they're the hardest bits to cover. And then I then do the internals, the flats of the internals. And then I'll do the tops. Work my way down the sides. I'm not going to get too overly fussy with it because it's just going to go in my, either in the studio or it's going to go in my office. That picture used to be my father's before he died. It can remind me that he was a Brexiter. Now, actually, if you look at something like that, that would be from a Brexiter, wouldn't it, really, you know. Stiff upper lip and all that. Or was it stiffer buttocks? Oh dear. I just did a video today, actually, for the other channel regarding the state of materials. I'm doing woodwork at the moment, so it made me think of it. And it's not getting better in the UK. It's even more expensive than it was when I did the video last time. It's getting horrendous. Plywood, for instance, is like 400% more expensive than it used to be. Any sheet materials, in fact. Right, so that's that. I'm going to put that out of the way. And then we're going to get on with the old wood turning. Oh, yeah, wood turning. Let's put it over there before I get dust all over it. You'll see what it's like out here, cause rain. It's always going to get up. Last week it was just frost, 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 frost. And this week it's like rain, rain, rain. Yeah. Let's have a look. It's a bit dark. Oh, the lights come down. Obviously we get dark a bit earlier than you. But yeah, you hear that? That's the rain. Oh, blimey. Everything's wet and boggy and nasty. Yeah. Paddles. Now we're going to be doing some, in the summer, what I'll do is I'll do a little live videos out here. That's why I did this area in the first place. So it's quite a cool area actually. And I cook things on that. I should have I got this from Pretty Patel. It's one of her spare cauldrons. Yeah. Anyway. There we go. Let's prepare our block of wood. I hope that isn't a bit picture okay. I might have to just clean that lens, so bear with me. But also, while I'm going to be doing this, I'm actually going to be recording some footage for a video as well. So I'm going to be killing two birds with one stone. I've got my other camera in here ready as well. So bring us over here. So we need to prepare our block of wood. Bring in the block of wood. That's what they say, isn't it? No? Okay. That's what I just said. I'm sticking with that. Alright. Put the heating on. I put the boiler on, the wood burner on, but I forgot about it. But down here, I've got this gas burner down here as well, which I could put on, but it's actually not cold. Whereas last week it was absolutely freezing. This week it's actually okay. I don't think I need the heating on, to be honest. I woke up this morning, it was 14 degrees in the bedroom instead of the usual 7. Who's going to make the coffee this morning? Your turn. So anyway, let's bring down here so you can see what I'm doing. So we got this block of walnut, and it's a lovely, lovely piece of wood. And this is actually an offcut from my bed that I built for our bedroom, which is made of walnut and cherry. And it's a lovely, lovely, lovely bed it is too. So the contrast between the walnut and cherry goes so well together. Even and walnut and oak, actually, to be fair. So I suppose because of the colours, they're quite neutral colours, aren't they? But they do go well. They do go well. You wouldn't put that with like teak or anything like that, because it would just look silly. Wouldn't look very good at all. But those contrasts between the dark and the light woods, not pine, because just, ugh. Not great. So what we've got here is we've got our block of walnut. I've cut this end square. That end isn't necessarily square, but it doesn't matter at the moment, because the only point of interest is going to be that point in the middle, and that's going to be where it would be making contact with the lathe on the centre. So there's a ball. I'll show you when we get to the lathe, but it's a ball race that will squeeze into that point there, and this side here will have this chuck. Yeah, it's like a chisel chuck. So that will be going into that, and that's the base of the actual tea light holder. So that's what we're going to do. It's more, I don't say a tea light hole, but the actual thing itself is going to, hopefully, it's going to look absolutely beautiful. But as you can see, I can't have it like that because it's just going to spin. Because this is the drive. This drives and it spins the block of wood. Well, it's not going to do that, is it, if it's going to be spinning around like that. So what I'm going to do is, because it doesn't matter on this, I'm going to drill a hole into there so we can lose some of that point into the hole. And then I'm going to, where those 2 points are there, I'll then get them out. Go tap, 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 so you see where they make contact with that block of wood. And then from that, I'll get a chisel and just cut little lumps out so that then fit in and tap it down. And I'm confident there's enough of this material, these 2 points, to engage into the block of wood. So whenever you're doing anything like this, you've got to be ever so careful there's no splits or cracks. If there is, you must repair them first. You've probably seen, well, especially on YouTube, where people like wood turned really manky bits of wood with bark on and stuff like that. There's a certain amount of preparation you have to do first before you can actually do that. You can't just do it, because a bit of bark will just fly off, especially if it's a seasoned bit of wood. Now you can, this is seasoned, but you can wood turn green wood. And there's different processes you can do after you've actually turned it to effectively season a bit of wood. One is PET. Is it PET? Yeah, PET, P-E-T. And effectively what happens is you fill all the pores of the wood become full of this material. And because of that, when it does, as it dries out, it can't shrink because the pores are already full. Yeah, there's nowhere to shrink to, so it just stays put. It still becomes dry, but doesn't shrink. So that's one way of doing it. Some people, small projects, you can actually use the microwave to season them. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but you can do it. I haven't tried it, so I can't. You know, it might be worth a go actually one day. But first of all, what I had to do, as you can see, I don't know if you can see it on there. I've already marked it. So I used my compass. And I've had this thing donkey's years. In fact, it used to be my father's years and years and years ago. And I marked all the way around. Yeah, but before I did that, I found the centre. An easy way with that, you find the corner to corner, a line, corner to corner, and it gives you your centre. It works very, very well. There is actually, if your bit of wood is already round and you want to find the centre, there is a tool, like a gauge you can make to do that. And I'll make one day actually. It might be a good little video to do. Yeah, it's good to make tools, so you have to buy them. So first of all, I'm going to drill the hole in there. I'm going to grab my cam, which is over here, and turn that on at the same time. You can't see it at the moment, but what we're going to do, I will try and do that like so. That's the plan. Right, so I'll drill a hole first for my pilot. Because this is a solid piece, it doesn't matter how deep you go, and you'll go all the way through. Because in the middle, if it did go all the way through, it won't matter either, because when you're going to be having that sitting on the other side, you'll see it, it won't matter at all. But if it was going to be a bowl that we were creating, so you're going to be hollowing out the inside of it, obviously you don't be drilling a hole through the middle of it. You just have that screw chuck or something like that instead. So I'm now going to use a slightly bigger drill. I'm winging it a little bit, obviously. And then a slightly bigger drill. Don't overdo it, obviously. So now it's making contact. You can see up there, that chisel is now making contact. You see that? So I'm going to show this camera over here, and I'm going to show this camera over here. So that's me, I'm making contact there. So I'm just going to chisel it out just so that sits in there, and that will be the drive that spins the block of wood. The lathe I'm using is an old Shapak lathe. It's a solid old thing. I've had it a long while, but that was used when I bought it. That was second hand, which doesn't bother me in the slightest. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to use this wooden mallet just so I can mark the block. So now I've got 2 marks there. You could literally just, that might be enough to drive it, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper by creating a slot. So one in there. To make sure I'm getting good. What would the word be? I'm losing the plot now. I hope it isn't just me, but sometimes when I go to a cupboard, I forget why I went there. I sort of get distracted in my head. But what am I going there for? What am I there for, huh? Probably got dementia, you know me. How would you know? That's a good point, actually. So there you go, that's in there now. That should be enough to drive that quite happily. I might go a bit deeper on that side. Just make sure of it. Now, you might be thinking, oh God, you're going to see that on the bottom when you look underneath. But when it comes, it hasn't come yet, I bought a little bit of baize, sticky back baize. So you can put a little bit of baize on the bottom. It might be, I've got some red and green and some brownish coloured stuff and black coming. So it's you can cover any of this marks up anyway. This is going to go on there like so. Perfect. Ah, that's it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. The fact that it's holding in there is a good sign. Oh, spinny, spinny. So there you go. So now I need to think to myself, well, hang on, have I forgotten something? Well, I suppose you could say that. I hadn't forgotten, but I'll say I did. We need to remove that. We need to remove that. And we need to remove that. I'm going to do that on the bandsaw, which just happens to be over there. Oh dear. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you over here ready. Hello, Kit Kat, how you diddling? Put it in the lathe, use an angle grinder, turn it by hand. Don't turn the lathe on. Oh, well, that'd be an interesting way of doing it. I'm going to turn the lathe on. Sorry. I want to play with my lathe. I haven't played with it for ages. And it was your idea, Jasper. You did tell me before that I got to get the old lathe on. And also you told me about doing a tea light or something. But there's loads of little projects. So if anyone's got any ideas for projects, leave it in the comments, because I'd be, in the chat. I'd be very interested, because you run out of ideas when you keep doing this stuff. It's quite easy to run out of ideas. Yeah, you sort of get like brain freeze. Well, at least that's my excuse. Caroline just says I'm losing my mind. That's what she says. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm just setting up my other camera as well. Because I want to be able to make a video as well. Like the other two videos uploaded recently with the voiceover. So I'm going to do that. I thought it might be fun. I've just uploaded another video to the other channel about the construction industry. But they won't be live just yet, because I'm doing this first. I've got a few things to finish off on it. Ah, I can see that. Oh, there's a bear. Ooh. Oh no, it's new. Right. Now this camera I'm using here is a Lumix G7. It's quite a good little thing, really. Right, let's move a light onto the subject. I really need to get some lights for this workshop, actually, because the light I'm using is literally just a floodlight on the stand with a bit of a diffuser on the front of it. And although it helps, it works to a degree. The problem is it's got a frequency, so if your shutter speed ends up being too fast on your video, you end up with like lines coming down, a bit of a flicker, and it's not very good. So I do really need to invest in some lights. It's like anything, like everything's so blooming expensive. So I just bought lights for the studio. So anyway, so let's turn that on. Camera one's recording. Right, I'll do it, bringing you a bit closer, don't I, really? There. Anyway, what we're going to do, let's bring it up a bit. We're now going to cut that into a round. Not a perfect round, obviously, because I'll be doing that on the lathe, wouldn't I? That's the idea, isn't it? Why else wouldn't you? So we're going to put the bandsaw on. This is it's got a little 3/8 skip tooth blade in there at the moment, or band. And bandsaw, basically you've got two wheels. It's a two-wheel bandsaw. So you've got a wheel at the top where the band goes round, and you've got a wheel at the bottom where the band goes round. And the wheel at the bottom is driven by the motor, which happens to be at the back of the machine. Now you have all sort of alignment problems with bandsaws, and to do your tension, you've got the big knob on the top, which you can't see just about. Yeah, let's bring it up. You've got the big knob on the top. Oh, big knob. Ooh, on the top there. And that tensions the band. And on the back here, you've got the screw for the top wheel. And what that does, it changes the angle of the wheel, just gently. And it does the tracking, basically, for the actual band itself. And you have a backing roller. So roller should be able to until you put pressure on the blade, that should be able to spin reasonably freely. But there mustn't be much of a gap there, hardly anything, about not even the 32nd of an inch. And then we have two guides at the top. In this case, these are roller guides, which mustn't come in contact with the teeth. Otherwise, you end up with a blunt band. And at the bottom, there's two more guides at the bottom. And if I remember rightly, they are, well, they roller guides as well. Yeah, we've got roller guides at the bottom as well. But they have to keep it. You have to keep it tuned up. Now, whenever you do anything like this, you have to make sure that the top guides are really relatively close to your piece of work, for which that is, because I've already set it up. But what I mean by that goes up and down. If it's all the way up there, your band could wobble about a lot. And this band here needs replacing. I had a bit of an issue, an accident with it. I hit something I shouldn't. Yeah, so that's quite happy at that. So I'm going to turn it on, the motor will drive the band, it'll be spinning around really fast, the teeth are going down in the downward direction, it holds a piece of wood onto the blade. It's a really easy machine to use. The only thing you have to be careful of, these things are pretty flipping dangerous actually. This one's not, it's a little one. But the big old ones I used to use in my dad's shop, big old floor standing jobs, about 2 kilowatt machines. They don't require a lot of power, you see, but those big ones, these are about 400 or 500 watt. And literally, you can just take your finger off. And they're not that noisy, especially the big machines with big old rolls, they're not that noisy. That one is. That band is desperate. I need to be sharpened. Yeah, I do sharpen them and all. I don't think that was past that, to be honest. But you can see where it's black, or there where it's very dark. Basically, it's burning. Now, walnut and cherry is the worst. One of the worst woods for burning when you're trying to cut it. It's terrible. And it actually makes you, the actual fumes that come off when it burns, when the blade heats up so much it burns, actually hurts your eyes. It's carcinogenic as well, so I've been told. It's not very good, is it? So that one there, it's good enough. It's not brilliant because the blade's wandered. Let's bring it down a bit more. That is desperate for a change, that belt or band. The reason why it's wandering is not because the guides, it's because the band's, it's blunt. And it's usually the set. So when you look at this band here, you probably can't see it from over there, but where you got your teeth, they go like that. And that's your set. So one tooth goes that way, and one tooth goes that way. It depends on whether it's a skip tooth or whatever, depends on how many times it does that basically, up and down the blade. And the reason why a blade will wander is because the set has become worn. Now, instead of being really sharp on these tips, it's become dull on the tips of the blade, and it wanders. It just doesn't, you lose all control. So it isn't very helpful, but it's done what I need to do. That's good enough for that. So I just basically took the bulk of it off, and the rest of it will be sorted out with the lathe. The lathe will take the rest of that off and make it round. Hopefully, everything is going to be hunky-dory. I hope it's not going to be a failure, because that'd be embarrassing when you're doing it live, wouldn't it? Crikey. What was I thinking? Blimey. So I'm going to bring you over here. I've actually set the a little tripod-y thing up over there on the top, I don't know if you can see it on top of that little shelf above the lathe, for which you're going to get a bird's eye view. So if it goes and explodes, it might all go onto your face. Hope not. Mind your fingers. Yeah, they can chop your fingers off. The conservator. Yeah, there's a bit of a light. Oh my god, it's a 50 watt LED floodlight is what it is from Action, which you'll probably know about. And I had this old stands from a projector screen, and then I just created this wooden thing to mount it on, and the piece of is actually drawer protector, clear drawer protector. But the problem with it is, obviously, it reflects a lot of light back, not just go through it, it goes back as well, because it's not in a proper light box. A light box normally is foil inside, like a plastic foil, soft box, and then your light is in that, and the bounces around inside, then mix and softens all the light up, and then the light comes out the front. You don't lose any power. If anything, it intensifies the power of the light, but also softens it. But that doesn't. No, and plus it's on your floodlight, and the frequency's all off. If I set the shutter speed too fast, I get all these like scan lines coming down. The video is terrible. Not good. No, we don't want that. So, hello, Duke. What planet is this? I hope you're feeling a bit better, mate. Where have you crashed us now? What? You're in my workshop. Yeah. We're in a lower orbit, but the magnetic field was too strong and it pulled us out of orbit, and we crash landed in France. A little place called Bury, there, Orador Severe. Blimey. What's this playing a nut you are, Duke? Blimey. Alright, so what we're going to do, don't we realise that we're doing a bit of wood turning. And we're going to be creating just a little tea light holder, but a very pretty one using this lovely little block of walnut. Can you see the grain? Well, that's just burnt bits. Is there a grainy bit I can show you? You can see the grain there. Give you a little bit of idea. Come on. Does it make it more stand out more by spitting on it? You see the grain? Yeah, you just about see it. But you can imagine that all shiny and what have you. It's going to look very, very pretty. And like I said a minute ago, this is actually an offcut from the bottom of one of the legs of my bed. I know I'm short. No, I built the bed, so I was cutting the legs to length for the bed. So let's get to it anyway. I'm going to grab my camera again, so I need to set that over here as well. And then we're going to get that lathe on the go, which is there. Oh yes. Oh yes, we don't need that stool there. Get that out of the way. The nice thing when you're doing wood turning is it's actually quite quick, from start to finish. It might not feel like it at the moment because obviously I'm trying to explain what I'm doing. So I want to try to be a little bit sort of educational, sort of. Also a bit of fun to watch, I hope. Probably not. Okay, there we go. Bumping into stuff I am. There's my other camera. So I'll put that over here somewhere. I don't know where. I'll put it here. At least it's got a bit of a zoom lens on that, so I can zoom that in. That might make more sense. So I'm going to create a video as well, just in case you're wondering. There you go, that's quite nice. Field of view there. I think so. That's perfect. And then I've got this camera here, which you happen to be on, so unclamp me from that little tripod there. So don't you do photography or anything like that. You have stands and tripods and all sorts of stuff, and they're always in the way. Now, another guy I follow, Steve, Australian chappie, happens to be in Australia, funny enough. And he does live woodworking shows. It's called, check him out if you like. He's the woodwork masterclass, but he hasn't been doing it for about a month. No, 2 months now. He hasn't uploaded anything for 2 months. So I thought, why don't I do it? I do like Steve though, he's a great guy. Okay, so I need to put my tool rest in, which is that bit. So I pulled it out so I can do my profile picture with my head in the vice. When I did that little picture, you saw, I keep jabbing my head on there. That's not a great idea. That wasn't my brightest move. Right, you go in there. There you go. Normally, these would all be shiny, these rails. Because I'm so damp, having sort of got surface corrosion on it, and I ain't used this machine enough. But we will now. So first of all, I'm going to insert I'm going to insert my chuck. And that goes onto the end of this screw here. Let me show you. That there. So we're going to screw that onto there. It's a clockwise thread. But before I do that, what I normally do, and I just forgot, one thing I'll make sure there's no, because what happens when you have a chuck on there, you've been doing a lot of woodwork, you get a lot of stuff built up in the threads. You don't want that. What you want is obviously, next time you want to remove the chuck, you want it to come off reasonably easily. And then I'll grab a bit of candle wax, which is in the, bear with me, I'll be back with you in a second. Oh, that's it, it's recording. The other camera's recording. Right, so I'll grab a bit of candle wax, I'll whack that on there like so. I don't. You could use a bit of grease or oil or something, but I tend to like a bit of wax. It seems to work better for me because that's aluminium, you see. And then screw that on like so. What should do anyway? Why isn't it going on? So this one's always a pain. This thing is to get the thread. Ah, there you go. It's going on. Right, and then there's two little grub screws. There's one there. There's one on the other side as well. No, there's only one on that one. Oh, the other one's two. This bit here is also replaced. You can remove that. You can actually change this spike, but that's the one we're going to use anyway. So, yeah, so I've got to tighten that up. So I need the little Allen key, which happens to be in my box of bits. Which is that, obviously. And that prevents it from working its way loose. With that down, because that goes into like a ring on the shaft of that can't actually fall off. You don't want that to happen. Not a good idea. So now we have our centre, which is this. And this is a ball race centre. It's made by Rome. Not Rome as in the country. R-O-H-M, I think it is, Rome. They make chucks and stuff. You see what I did earlier? That fits on there nicely. And then I'm going to use, move this over as well. So it's not in a good position. It only just reaches the centre, which is a bit of a pain. I have to have that right on the edge. To move the centre over as well, which is a pain. Like I just said, it was a pain. It is a pain. Wind that back. Now I create a little pinprick on that end there for that little point to go into. That's all it needs. Don't need any more than that. And that's going to drive into there like so. And then I've got to make sure I've got enough room to bring the fence, so the tool rest in. So I better do that first actually before I put that on there. Otherwise I'm going to be up a creek without a paddle. Hopefully it will reach. That was embarrassing, wasn't it? I was going to use a 4-jaw chuck, but I realised it wouldn't really fit them in my shape very well. Right, I'll try to drive it in there like I don't need to. This, just will go over, I'll go further back. What makes sure I've got enough room to manoeuvre the actual, what do we call it? The tool rest. Let's bring it down, so it's pulling down on it. Bring it up. Am I talking to myself? I am, aren't I? Dear. What am I like? Can't help it. There you go. I wouldn't normally have that much of that sticking out, but I can't actually bring this tailstock close, that's what that's called, the tailstock, close enough to the piece of wood and still maintain some control on this. Might be worthwhile me creating something at a later date to allow me to manoeuvre things in a much better position. I'd like that to be further in basically. There's still that much meat left in there and I'll tighten up on there to prove it. When I first start turning this, we have to make sure we keep this tension, because if that gets loose, because this is on a taper, so it's on a taper here, so effectively what happens is it's shaped like that. And if it gets loose, it'll all collapse and fall to pieces and end up on the floor. It probably won't hurt it, but it could hurt you. I don't want that to happen. No. Just clamp that down. That's what the lever here does. If you can see it, which you probably can't. Let's bring it back up there. That lever there. This is the tailstocks. So So you couldn't see it a minute ago. So this is the tailstock. That is your locking for this shaft here, which goes in and out on this handle. And then we have a Rome centre here, which has got ball race in it. This allows us to spin around freely, like so. Supposedly. It does seem to do the job. And then we've got our tool rest, which could go up and down, but also we've got a clamp at the bottom, which clamps it to the bed of the lathe. Now I've got to make sure there's nothing in the way that's going to vibrate off. It appears to be okay. I'm probably going to be using this little chisel. This is a gouge. The shape of that is a gouge. And hopefully it'll peel off nicely. Depends whether it needs sharpening or not. Quite possibly. First of all, I want to find my round. But the design I want is literally just a sphere. Well, it's not going to be round, it's going to be like a squished sphere. That's my idea anyway. Might be a silly idea. I don't think you need much more than that, because the wood itself, we'll see in a minute, it's actually very, very pretty. So I don't think we need it much more than that. So we start off with a low speed, and the speed on this particular machine is done with belts, which I can show you. It's a bit tight to get to at the back here, but they're belts on the back there. Don't put your fingers in there. No. It has actually got a door, but because of where it's mounted, I can't actually access the belts, or open the door to access the belts. And it's on medium at the moment, so I'm going to knock it down a bit. And we do that by putting the belt onto the lower, or a smaller pulley at the bottom. Just by doing that. That's on there, jump down nicely. And again. And then on the bigger one at the top. That'll be the slowest speed that it is. That it is. Right, so now it's at its slowest speed. So we make sure everything rotates nice and freely before we turn it on. I don't want it all flying off. No, no flying off, thank you very much. It wouldn't be very good. It'd be embarrassing. That I must say. So there you go, that's locked off. That's good. Let's go to it. We're going to turn it on. Oh. Zoom that in. Play with the camera. Bring it in like so. There we go. Oh! There she goes! We have our gouge. You've got to be very careful at this stage. You don't be too close, just in case. You don't want to catch a bit of wood. But the chisel's long enough, so you've got to make sure I hold the end of the chisel, while the chisels are long, so you get your leverage on the actual chisels. Hand on the top, the rest, and then on to the bottom of the chisel, onto the rest. Now this particular one is dynamic chisel, it's a Henry Taylor chisel, and that is high-speed steel. Basically, it's very, very hard steel. The beauty about that is you don't have to sharpen it so often. Whereas a chisel such as this old Storm On, I don't know if it's got anything to do with Ireland. Chisel is it's not high speed steel, it's just hardened steel. It's actually a really good chisel, to be fair, but it's you have to sharpen it a lot. Although it's quick to sharpen, whereas these aren't. I'll tell you, use diamond with these. Let's see what we get. Bring you a bit closer, more on this side. Look, there you go. See the wood coming off. See the wood from the trees. Who turned lights out? There you go. you see there, we've still got some flats. They obviously, I need to get a bit, get my words out of that. I'll take a bit more material off to get rid of that, and to get rid of that. And when you wood turn, and you can actually see where it creates like a ghosting effect of the bits that you missed. If it's not perfectly round, or you've got these areas, you get a bit of a ghosting on the edge with your line of sight. So you keep your eye on that, and it gives you an idea how much further you've got to go. The only area that I'm not worried about is actually the middle. So that one there needs some more material to be removed. Now what you can do is you can grab a marker pen or pencil. If the wood's really porous, don't do it like this because it just, in this case, only dry wet pen. So if I do that, I will see that as it spins around, and as it disappears, I know that I've removed all that material. Now, I don't really need to remove more of these outside edges at the moment because they're going to be taken right back anyway into the shape. It's really the centre bit I'm worried at the moment, and they'll be working from that into the shape. So I'm going to create like, I don't know, like a melted ball. Yeah, so I've pretty much got rid of most of the material now. It's a little tiny bit there, so that's fine. So now I'm going to be thinking about the shape. So I need to think about a centre line. So I'm going to grab a pencil. So we just mark a sort of a centre line. And now I need to think about removing material. Now you can't see it from there, but I've already marked where the hole's going to go for the tea light on this face. So obviously I don't want to create my round so much that I end up losing enough material to put the actual tea light into. Otherwise it'll be just an edge, wouldn't it? It'd be no good. So I need to bring this round into that and then into that, and I'll just go with the flow until I'm happy with its shape. Now you've got other chisels, which I'll show you anyway. I'm not saying I'm going to use them all the time, but like this is a scraper gouge. So that works differently, I'll show you. But before I do, I need to move the tool rest closer now. Now I ain't got so much sticking out. I can come in a bit closer. I don't get too close, but close enough. You see, this is a scraper gouge. So, in fact, you've got a burr on the top edge of this, and that's what's creating the sharp. It's got to a point where it could do a bit, being a little bit, well, a little bit of work on it really. It needs to be sharpened a little bit. So you have options. You either use the grinders, which creates heat, that's the only problem. I tend just to do that for the first, before I actually need to do a proper sharpen. I just do them on the diamond. Oh no, we're dropping things. Oh no, don't do it. Anyway, what I'm actually trying to do is create some space so we can bring me over a bit. How's that? That's better. So what I'm doing on this side here, I'm just doing a bit of a rounding it round. What I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to speed it up so it goes faster. I need to bring it a bit closer, and also I'm going to tighten up the this as well. Put a bit more pressure that way, because what happens, it wears in, you see. So it's a good idea, Dave, so I'll just get a little bit of a turn, a quarter turn should be enough. That was actually okay, actually, so it wasn't really a problem. And I'm going to bring this in a bit closer, now I can. Because obviously the smaller it gets, the closer I have to get. So I'll try and peel that shape around, and you can use other tools as well. We've got a screw gauge, a screw chisel here. There's another way you can do it. Fat acorn at the moment. so far we've used a scraper chisel, that one, and we used a small gouge. I've got a bigger gouge, short one over there as well, which is not, I'm not going to use that at the moment, I think. But also we have got some different types of chisels, such as this one here, which is a Crown Tools. This one is. This is high-speed steel yet again, so it's like the screw chisel we were using, which is this one, but it's because the shape of the actual the blank, because it's got this oval shape to it, you get a very sharp corner to it. Let's try that. If you look here, you get more of a shape, whereas when using the gouge, you get more, because it's a curved cut, you get these little troughs, little furrows. But using the gouge is a great way to get rid of more material all at once. I've got some whopper great chisels there as well. What about that one? Is that big enough? Now this is a John Bobby's. This is actually a steel, ordinary tempered steel. It's not high-speed steel, no. And this one here is a big old high-speed steel gouge. This is great for doing bowls and stuff. And that is high-speed steel, which is very good. And I've got this other gouge here. I've got so many lathes I've collected over the years. Some I don't really use that much these days. Great for bowl stuff though, because the beauty about this, you see, when you do a big bowl, you've got all this leverage. So if, for instance, it grabs, it doesn't kick up and break your arms. Surprising the power of the lathe. Well, this isn't a huge lathe. Big old burst screen. Start with burst screen would be good. So we're going to speed. Oh, there goes the light again. I am just going to make sure that's shut the door over there. The door keep banging. Like, shut it properly. I'm just glad it's not cold today. That is a bonus when it's not cold. Right. So let's speed up. So I'm going to change the belt. So I'm going to move the belts about now. So if you look here, we've got these pulleys. To speed it up, on slow setting at the moment. So I'm going to just bring it up a couple of notches by moving the belts from top to bottom. Bottom to top. You have to start with the biggest pulley first. So, it slackens the belt then, you see. So we're going to do one at a time. I can show you then. Right, that'll be one speed up. As you can see. Anyway, what you guys have been saying anyway? That's me, I'm ignoring you. Terrible of me, that. Is a scraper chisel on the same on both sides? No, it's not actually. If you look here, you've got an angle to the cut. And what you do is when you sharpen that bit, you create a burr. And it's that burr here that does all the cutting. So no, a scraper chisel like this one, you can make one of these out of an ordinary chisel. Yeah, I have done in the past actually. When I was a lot younger, when I had a drill, what was that? That was a Black & Decker drill with a drill attachment for a Black & Decker drill. Long while ago. And this screw chisel here, that can cut on both directions, but you tend to sharpen it, so you just cut on one direction, but you can do it on both. But yeah, so that's just your screw chisel. And there's another quite important chisel, which is called a parting chisel, when you're parting ways, which is this one. And this is the chisel that you'd use if you use it for other things as well, if you're doing your final cuts to separate a piece from either end. So you literally just cut and grab it in your hand at low speed, obviously. Otherwise, it'll go, oh boy, and hit you on the head. Yeah, you don't want that. I imagine it would hurt. So, I want to remove more material. I'm hoping that the size of the piece here is actually enough so I can get a nice shape. Otherwise, I might have to shorten it. see the grain that's coming through here. It's actually going to be quite beautiful. You get the finish, it lifts all that colour. It's going to be wee cool. So I do the same on this side. I've got a funny feeling it might, for my liking, it might be too tall. I might need to actually shorten it a bit. Yeah. So I want it to be like, not a ball, but like a slightly flat ball, but I don't think it's going to be, it might be more of a ball than actually a flat ball. Balls to it. That's what I say. Right, so now I'm going to come around on this side here and we'll just see if I'm satisfied with its shape. There's other things you could do actually. You don't have to. You could put some little flutes in, like 3 little flutes from the centre, one in the middle, and 2 either side, just an accent piece. For which then you could then paint that black, like I showed you on the sign, and then you could sand that back again. Just leaves like 3 little black lines. You could all sorts of things you could do. Or you could do it in a laminate. You don't have to start with a solid piece of wood like that. You could have a laminated piece of wood. There's all these different colours going on. You've probably seen things on Facebook, whatever, where I don't know, turning pencils, for instance, to glue the pencils together and wood turn them into something. Probably another pencil. Let's get it back in there. This old lathe needs a bit oiling up, not oiling up, waxing up, make everything a bit smoother. Bit of candle wax, or a bit of paraffin wax, whatever you can get hold of. La 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 la. The shape is getting there. Still will come off. Oh, that silly light. I'll tell you what, I need to bring another light a bit closer. Then I won't have that problem, will I? Here we go, put some light on the matter. Go, try not to trip over it. Aha! That's a bit brighter. No, that looks okay. Right, let's see what you're saying. Hello, just me in videos? How you diddling? Got a multi-max. Oh my god, apart from past. Drill lathe. Could do a bell shape. Is it going to be nailed or smooth? That's going to be smooth. I'm going to do it smooth. Could be a joke bog roll. Okay, that'd be interesting. Oh, talking about vaccines and stuff. I had my booster today. I'm all boosted up. I am. Yeah, I had that this morning. It's 10:30, my booster. On the third day of Christmas, Moderna gave to me 3 fever days, 2 swollen lips, and a blooming headache. Okay. Oh, sorry to hear about that. You could use rasp. In France, Jasper, there's a guy not far from here actually, he makes rasp by hand. Like, about 150 odd quid a piece. I mean, real pack of things. Talk about sharp. But he makes a rasp. I thought they were all machine made. Boris, where? Port or starboard? Oh. Well, would it be on the steering board side or would it be on the port side? I wonder. Don't know with that bloke. He swings all over the place. Oh, spaghetti western's your thing, is it? Do you like Clint, do you? Clint Eastwood. Spaghetti sauce. I fancy that. I might have that for tea. I fancy spaghetti now. Right, let's carry on. Let's get this. Oh, cool. Glad you're fine, mate. Kids, what are they up to? What are they doing? Anyway, we're getting there. We're starting to get our shape. Let me show you. So we're starting getting our round shape. It's a bit sort of still have a bit of a squareness to it. I want to be more round than that, but I don't think the dimensions are going to allow me to do that unless I shorten it. That's my thing. I think it's going to have to be a little bit short. I might have to bring it around to about. I'm winging it, obviously. I'm just going with the flow. That I am. There you go. There we go again. dum. Well, I'm wondering whether or not I should do my line idea or shorten it, or I don't know, decisions. Now, do I shorten it so it's more spherical? Because at the moment it's too long to create my original shape. That's my thinking anyway. Or do I bring it in more at the bottom? I've got to have enough room for a base, obviously, because it needs to have a, so it can actually sit flat. Oh, decisions! I'm kind of going with the flow. Just thinking, what do I fancy? There's something about doing this, it's almost like you want to just keep on going until there's nothing left. It's like therapy. I was going to say it's like Alexander Boris Vettel Johnson's left testicle, but it's too big. Shape isn't that silly line. I need to move that sensor. If you're wondering why I got a sensor on my workshop lights, it's because in the summer, because I've got no windows in this place, I often have to leave lights on, and I kept doing that. I've only got as many lights as I've got in here. It's cost me a fortune in electricity, even though they're all LEDs. I hope you can hear me, because it's quite loud, isn't it? There you go. Can you see the shape, the colour coming from there? Like, if you like that there, it's quite nice. It's coming along. Am I happy with that shape? I'm not 100% certain yet. I actually think I might actually put the 3 little lines in it instead of just leaving it. I think that'd look really nice. Decisions. Oh, I don't know. There's no going back when you do it, is there? No. Make sure I'm happy. Well, main thing is making sure that that shape there is the same as that shape. If I was doing like patterning, I'd create a pattern. So effectively, I would be cut out of a piece of plywood or MDF or something, and I'll just cut that into the shape I want, and then I can use it as my template. And then, if you want to, you can use the copy attachment, so you can actually copy that to create another one exactly the same. Bring that in a little bit more here on the top, because that's going to be the base. This end's the base, so it's going to be sitting on that end, and that end is going to be the top where the little tea light is going to go into. Well, that's my plan. It might work out, it might not. eyeballing that way, it's actually pretty uniform. It's not perfect round. I actually quite like it though. Again, I'm a sort of a perfect round. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm now going to sand it. Then I'm going to, I think I might put the lines in. Hammer and hard, so you end up with like, I'll create like 3 black lines. I'm hoping that'll work. The other way you can actually do it, you can burn them in. So by using frictions, you can create like 3, using a bit of wood, you can actually like burn the 3 little lines. But I want a bit of indentation with it if I do it. But first of all, let's just take that tool out. I'm a tool, I know. It's been said before, you won't be the first. Oh my god, the mess that's on the floor. Oh my god. That's the thing with wood turning, you do create a fair bit of mess. See? You see that big bit of wood there? One day we'll be turning that. Bit of old fruit wood. I think that's pear. Bit of old pear wood. Well, keep it all gnarly. That's what I do. Keep it all gnarly. Like me. All gnarly. Right. So what we need now is some sandpaper. What have I done with that? No, it's not a natural. Oh, I found it. Now, I tend to use emery paper like this, because what you do is you can cut to length. You can, well, it doesn't burn through basically. It's usually a good idea. It's a good idea not to get burnt fingers from the friction. Depends what you're doing, obviously, if you're talking about friction, but we're not going to go there. No. What I want to do is just cutting a bit of sandpaper. Just a bit of aluminium oxide paper. And now I want to sand it enough to get rid of any like marks. Now, what we'll do now is, because really it's going too slow to sand it, so what we're going to do, we're going to increase its speed. Hopefully it doesn't fall off and fly and bang me on the head, because that just won't do. So, what you're supposed to do is turn the power off before you do this, playing about these belts. That would make more sense. So we're just going up another speed, see what that's like. Oh, look at that, woohoo! Nice feel, because you can feel it really, you feel it getting smoother and smoother and smoother. You're sort of removing the tram lines out of the furrows caused by the actual chisels. And look, I'm holding the camera. Woo-hoo. The paper's getting hot. You don't get too hot, because what happens, you just get burned, you'll ruin the paper as well. that camera's getting covered in dust. Hey-ho. Say la vie. As you're doing it, you can probably see it get shine and shine and shinier. I still see some little tram line, evidence of tram lines. I sort of work way through it. What is quite good is if you use sanding sealer, but I haven't actually got any solvent-based sanding sealer. I've got some water-based stuff. It just takes too long to dry at the moment. Decide whether or not to put those lines in. Oh dear. Decisions. You see it's becoming more and more reflective of the light. But it ain't there yet. There's nowhere there yet. As you can see, there's still some grainge and tram marks here. So then, yeah, I'll cut the moment, darling. In a minute. I'm doing live. She wants to feed me. Did you want to feed me? Oh, right, why? Where's she gone? Oh, she's gone. Caroline has to eat at a certain time because she mustn't eat too late. So I might have to actually go and do her food for her. Open a can. Not really. No, I did promise to cook first, so I'll do that. But it's getting closer, isn't it? So I might finish it on another. Well, no, it won't take long anyway. I'm sure you don't want me to go and eat my food and you watch me eat, because that'd be really silly. That's what they do on Facebook, isn't it? Listen. Getting there, isn't it? Still a bit there, got a bit more sand to do there. Obviously I gouged that bit there, so. Well, what I might actually do is I think I should really take care of my dear wife, really. Because she has a problem with bile duct and what happens, it builds up with bile and she can't sleep at night because it's just painful. So she might have to have an operation. Apparently. She had a gallbladder out a few years ago. Oh, God, it's hot. Well, this is going to take quite a lot of sanding, so I might do sand it off camera anyway. And I think we'll have to come back to this tomorrow. But if I can show you a bit closer. I was hoping to get this finished, actually, but I think I'd better go and take care of Caroline. But you can see that's where the actual tea light's going to go in. If you can see the shape and how the grain is starting to progress. Here, you can imagine when that's got some finish on there, that's going to really lift it from the wood. It's going to jump out, it is. Yeah. So, let's just see what you guys and gals are saying. And then I'm going to go in and do our food, and then we'll finish that project tomorrow. Gives you something to do, doesn't it? There's a picture frame, that's a good point. It's over here. It should be dry now. Probably want a bit more lacquer on that, looking at that. Yeah, it needs a bit more lacquer on. Not that wide, to be fair, but there you go. So that's going to go in there like that. But yeah, it needs more lacquer. So I'm going to give that another coat of lacquer. That's the only thing that's Tommy. Everything takes long to dry. Well, that is dry now, to be fair. And it needs a lot of light rub down and a lacquer. So although it seems like it's taking a long while to do a picture, it's actually just little bit by bit. And you put it on one side and you get on with another job. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. But first of all, I'm going to just check to see what's been said. Bread and some fresh spaghetti sauce. Oh, yeah, Caroline can't have spaghetti sauce. Well, she has spaghetti sauce, but you can't have bread. She has to get gluten-free. That's all to do with a flipping gallbladder. That's bugged her right up, it has. Oh, she can go on. It's gone. That's what you eat. No, you don't watch me eat. That's just ridiculous. We were doing that, ginger island, watching us eat. I'll be dripping down my face, it will. What grain size is that? That is 80, actually. Was it 80 or was it 120, actually? It might be 120. Let me double check. 120. There you go. So that's 120. 80 might be a little bit on the coarse side. Depending on what you're doing, I suppose. But it's, yeah, it certainly does the job. And then I'll go down the grits. I'll probably go down about 320 eventually on it. And it'll really, really lift it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Cool stuff. I do like doing the old lathe, but I hadn't done it for a while, so I'm a bit rusty. So I hope it didn't show through too much. Oh, look at the cupboard doors all left open. Oh my God. It's terrible, isn't it? So yes. Anyway, actually, before I go, what I'll do is just, hopefully the internet don't go off, but I want to show you regarding what we're doing with this over here. I haven't done any more of that yet, but we're going to, because I've got more ideas. But I just want to show you in the house something else I've done, give you more of an idea. Oh, my battery's about to run out. Let's go and plug it in. Here's my compressor. Plug it. Bear with me, just plug it in my battery pack. Yep, that's plugged in. So we're just going to go into the house and I'll just show you another picture that I did. It might inspire. It's actually really quite cool. Think of a topography of a family. And that way I can tell the missus as well that, don't worry, I'll do the food. Caroline, I'll do the food, don't worry. Right, the internet might flicker. Okay, we're connected up again. I've gone from the workshop internet into house internet. Caroline, I'll do your food. I'll be in trouble otherwise. Your food.
I don't know if it's a bit late.
Why? You want your food? I won't take long at all. Get in trouble now. Yeah. We got a new toy. We got an air fryer because it's got less fat, apparently. You don't put any oil in it or anything. Anyway, this is what I made using the same principle as those. Literally, these are photocopies. Stuck to little oak boards, mounted on a little oak frame, and I've given a little accent in black and that as well. But it's pretty cool, isn't it? I think so. Anyway, a bit dark up there. Hope you can see it all right. But yeah, you see, that's my daughter Yasmin. That's actually little Grace. And then we've got that's Grace as well, Caroline, and my other daughter, little Sophia. You saw Sophia yesterday, actually. She's the one who had the princess dress on. And that's her eldest son, who happens to be 40 now. Reader. Oh, I wonder who that one over there. Oh, little Grace game playing down, my little Wally. So yeah. So it's quite good. It's a topography. It works really well because the aspect of when you're coming out of the bedroom and you see that, it's actually quite nice. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you, but this is actually going to be a door later going into the floor next door to the barn. One day, what I'm going forward to, and when I get to it, and that is actually a mirror. That was a wardrobe door mirror. So I'm, make use of it. And the whole idea is it reflects light about, you see. You're not going to look at it because you just have to fly. Yeah, as you see, it's up there. But it's quite cool. So, yeah, anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. And I'll thank you for watching. I'm going to carry on with that project tomorrow. And we'll start another one. I don't know what yet. Maybe you've got some ideas. Leave it in the comments down below. Or in the chat. So, yeah, anyway, it's time to go. So, ta-ta. A dry fire? Fire dryer? What, really? Like this? I was about to sign off. Do you want me to show you that thing? These are quite cool. These wooden bolts, wooden hinges. They're 10 years, ain't fell off yet, so there you go. Anyway, ta-ta. I keep saying that, but it's time for me to go. Thank you for watching.